Hello, welcome to a video where I'm going to talk about my Stuttgart run. I played in the Stuttgart regional tournament, as you can see right here. That was from the stream. You might notice still have a little bit of a cold. I got a little bit sick since like Saturday, on the day that I played actually, even though at the time I was still a little bit energetic. But from Sunday it was good thing it wasn't COVID though. Um, but Stuttgart was really fun. I'm going to showcase some battles. Um, and I would really recommend that if you haven't been to those yet, if you like PvP, I would really recommend going there. Like it's a lot of fun. I went with friends. I had good food, good German food. I went with more friends. Um, I don't know. If you're a part in the community, it's a lot of fun. Regardless of being good, sometimes really. I have friends that don't perform as well occasionally, and they still have one hell of a time. Um, the team that I used, I'm not going too much in depth into this. That's why I didn't make a whole new scene for this. Um, because Open Grey League is a wild west at the moment, and there's just way too much to talk about. The idea of this team basically, I didn't really specifically build around something, but I do really like to use Medicham. I think Medicham is the most neutral Pokemon in the meta at the moment. With a shoot up, it can beat about anything that's not a ghost. And I just really like that. It's just not really an RPS Pokemon unless you get it aligned to like an Obstagoon or a Steel type. Um, Speaking of RPS Pokemon, I also really do like Registeel always, just because it punishes stuff like Noctowl way more, which is way more dominant now as well since the Wing Attack buff. The choice for Shadow Sableye is because I have a rank 9 XL, which I really like to use. It can win the 0 shields against Noctowl. Um, and it basically wins more 2 shields than a normal Sableye does. And with shields up, it's just way more dominance. I like to show dominance or get hard destroyed. Um, Azumarill, a really good generalist. Jumpluff, a core break from Medicham Lantern, but also a very risky pick in a meta that now is going to have more Registeel and Noctowl because you lose really hard to those. You do beat Altaria in the 0 or 1s, depending on your IVs. And Dunsparce is a spicier one, recommended by my good friend 23EJB. You may know him, really good battler as well. Um, and it basically does about the same thing that Gfizz does, but it's better at beating Noctowl. It's still solid against other flyers as well, and it does better against ghosts. So basically, it just does a little bit more. On the other hand, it does do worse against opposing steels. You don't beat steel types despite having drill run coverage. G-Fisk still requires 3 drill runs to KO. Same for Registeel. Registeel you can win actually, but it's difficult. Anyway, gonna go more into these battles. The first one was not on stream. I played a lot on stream, but not this one against the PvP champion. I'm not sure if I had his team correct here. I think this was very similar to what he was running. He basically didn't have a steel type. And as you can see, my Registeel and Dunsparce are extremely dominant here. He basically always has to bring Umbreon to cover my Dunsparce and Trevenant for my Registeel, which is basically what he kind of did. This guy, great guy, a dad who came to compete in a regional in Germany. I added him as well, and basically his idea was to build a team that he built in one season. He built that XL Lickitung in one season. We had an event, so that made it a bit easier. And then to prove that you don't need to be playing for years to build a sufficient team. And I really like the idea of that. So a big shout out to him. Very creative, really cool guy. I hope I meet him again. My next round, though, was on stream against Loki BV. He's running a very standard team, a very standard basic, but very balanced team that you can also see that this is someone who doesn't fear Charm, and for good reason, because Charm has been nerfed. But I'm running a different fairy type. My opponent is very weak to Azumarill. Pelipper has play, Lickitung is a good answer to it. Everything else generally lose to it. Obviously, G-Fisk, Sableye, Medicham still put up a good fight, but it's not ideal. Let's take a look at my first battles here. Obviously, I'm going to bring Azumarill here, and I lead it into his Galarian Stunfisk. Now, at the time, you don't see each other's teams Like, not the line of 3, right? So I don't know what he has in the back at this point. But he safe swaps his Lickitung here, and this is actually a grave mistake from my opponent, who clearly is very used to Lickitung being a very safe swap. Um, but this is only Azumarill answer. So what I did was build up energy with Azumarill, knowing that my Azumarill is gonna clean up in the end anyway. I might not even need my Dunsparce for everything else, because I can take some licks easily. It's the Power Whips that really hurt Azumarill. And this is a very dominant matchup for Registeel if you go straight Zap Cannon. If you go straight Focus Blast as Registeel here, the Lickitung can actually flip the 2 shields just straight Body Slam, because you're not debuffing. Obviously, if you don't get a Zap Cannon debuff, it's still a little bit iffy. At this point, I'm going to throw a Focus Blast anyway. It does a little bit more damage, doesn't kill. You always need 2 moves to kill from full health. But I'm planning on letting it go, so that's why I throw Focus Blast here. I don't think this even takes me out, since he has been debuffed. I might be able to lock on down and come out with a move, and both Medicham, well, Medicham might counter me down before I get there, but the G-Fisk will not appreciate a Focus Blast. I think the correct player is to try and counter me down, but it's a very risky one. He does come in with the Galarian Stunfisk, probably thinking it's quite useless, but at this point he's already a shield down. My Azumarill has an Ice Beam loaded and is a shield up, so it is no secret that my Azumarill is going to put in a lot of effort here. But I think the hard lesson for my opponent here is that you can't just safe swap Lickitung when it's your only answer to that one very dominant Pokemon on your opponent's line. That you know it's gonna be there. You know my Azumarill is 100% going to be here. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying my opponent played super bad here. He just has a very tough matchup, right? It's very difficult to play against something as dominant as an Azumarill Registeel, or especially if you don't get alignment, it's just very difficult. Play rough is not going to take out here. This is basically what I meant with Azumarill being so-so against Sableye, Medicham, Galarian Stunfisk. It wins them usually, but just not as solid as you'd like it to. Psychic comes through. You see how low I get here, but I get to my Ice Beam here right before the Ice Punch. That will take them out, and then one ball will take out the Galarian Stunfisk. I will shield this. Not per se because I don't want to reveal my third Pokemon, but also I don't really like to show what I like to use. Not versus my opponent per se. And you can watch someone as much as you want on stream. I don't think it matters as much at all. Because when you're in the moment, you see what your opponent is actually going to use and how he plays it. And by then it's too late to anticipate. So I'm 1-0 up at this point. Let's take a look at my second game here. See if my opponent anticipates well. But this time he leads Pelipper into my Registeel and safe swaps the Lickitung again. Which really insinuates, you could tell by my face that I was really surprised there. Because it's not an answer. It really is an answer. And this is only Azumarill answer. So my opponent, again, safe swaps his hardest Azumarill answer. And now, again, my Azumarill can just run through everything he got. And it's fine to make misplays sometimes. You can only learn from them, really. My opponent tried playing ABA. It's really difficult when you have 5 Pokemon that can lose to Azumarill to not play ABA. Right? Lead strong to Azumarill, or sorry, lead weak to Azumarill and be weak to Azumarill in the back. Yeah, and this time against Registeel, both Pokemon are just so dominant here. I'm very lucky with the attack debuffs as well. That's now 67% chance. That didn't always happen. You'll see in other matches. And yeah, because of those debuffs, the licks do about as much as my lock-ons at this point. This Zap Cannon will take out. You see how dominant this matchup is for Registeel when you go straight Zap Cannon here. Go straight Focus Blast, it really isn't that dominant. But yeah, he doesn't really have anything to farm me down, as you can see. I think his best option is either this, but he will have to throw a move, or he will get hit by a Focus Blast, which is going to do a lot, or to throw a Weather Ball immediately with the Pelipper. Just because they pace faster than Registeel. But looks like he is going to put it all on Pelipper with one shield. I swap in my Azumarill right away, knowing that at this point, I don't feel threatened anymore. I could even use my Registeel for a catch later. but it's not really necessary. 2 Ice Beams should take out this Pelipper with some bubbles. I know this matchup very well as a Pelipper player. And yeah, I have 2 Shoot Still. I have a Shadow Sableye in the back, and that should be very fine. A Weather Ball bait comes in here, but at this point I want to sweep with Sableye, knowing the Shadow Claws are going to do so much to my opponent. Winking at the camera for a bit because I called a bait there. And Hurricane might not even have KO'd because my Azumarill is a very excel one. Yeah, this is very much over. I still have 2 shields for the Sableye. He has a little bit of energy on the Galarian Stunfisk. Might get through a Rock Slide, probably not to an Earthquake. So I kind of know. This is sometimes how it just goes. This is not really dominance because of gameplay. This is matchup dominance. Knowing that if you get a little bit of alignment, my opponent needs luck, and I don't. Right? My opponent is a terrible matchup. If I get my alignment, there's not much he can do. There really isn't. Yeah, this foul play takes out Galarian Stunfisk, and the Shadow Claw will do so as well. So that's a 2-0 victory for me. You don't go to 3 battles here if you win 2 battles in a row. As a bonus, I also included the interviews. But obviously, if you only want to see battles or stuff, you can just skip those.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with our winner of this round, Inadequance or Mountain if you want to. I'm sorry. How do you feel, Inadequance?
Well, I won a game, so that's nice. I feel good.
Yeah, because you were scared to go 0-2, all right?
I think everyone always is. That happened to me once in Lille. Good thing it hasn't happened again. So yeah.
Yeah, so you just told me that you played Lille, and it's obviously not your first tournament. How do you feel about this one?
Well, we recently had the moveset updates, and that's kind of altered the meta a little bit. Um, it's really been trying out because that's only been 2 days ago, and I think everyone's just trying stuff out, right? I think it adds some excitement to it. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, we will have like some spicy things, some spicy teams, some spicy months, for example, the Shadow Ampharos. But talking about spicy things, I heard somewhere that you would bring a Shadow Charizard, and finally you did not. Why?
I chickened out. The meta has changed to the hard meta of Open Great League right now is Galarian Stunfisk, Lantern, Medicham, and Noctowl.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like there was much room for Shadow Charizard and Surfetch, the spies that I initially had. So I altered my team. I just chickened out. I had answers, but it became a little bit RPS, right? It
Yeah.
became hard counters versus hard counters.
Sometimes it has to be. I mean, this game has always been a bit RPS, and you always have some random things to add
Yeah.
sometimes. So it's part of the game anyway.
Yeah, but I try to avoid it as much as possible, right? I
I
think
can
that gives you the
understand.
most chances.
I can understand, yeah, because the skill. I mean, you kind of prefer to show more skill than. I mean, it's RPS is like another skill, all right.
I don't care. I just want to win.
You're right, but why did you pick Azu?
Just as a good generalist, it's fine against like a Medicham, Galarian Stunfisk, Noctowl, Altaria, that kind of stuff. My opponent this time only really had Licky Tongue to answer it, and I somewhat expected, somewhat didn't. But yeah, I think Azumarill, I don't think it's the strongest Pokemon like Galarian Stunfisk that's supposed to counter, and Medicham that is supposed to counter. Still got really close, but it just is a really good generalist, and that's what I like about Azumarill.
Yeah, and it's Azumarill, not Tapu Fini.
No, I see Tapu Fini more as a water type attacker. Azumarill is more
Yeah.
of the generalist, right? Doesn't really have a cheap water type charge move, right? Hydro Pump just takes a little bit too long to get to. Does hit hard, where Tapu Fini really Tapu Fini doesn't do as good against like an Altaria, right? It doesn't do better against Registeel. They really both have their own niches.
It's true, yeah. And I also saw that you have Dunsparce in your team. Were you inspired by our winner
I was,
in the previous
yes.
round? Yeah,
23
22
EJB. Shout out to
EJB.
him, my good friend. Um, I just started thinking about Dunsparce, and it had pretty decent coverage in the current meta, so that's why I went with it. I only built it yesterday.
It's true. I mean, you built it yesterday with Shadow Charizard, but finally you changed it again and again. And
Yeah, I went to boring meta.
are you happy about the result?
So far, yeah. My first opponent was really weak to Dunsparce, so it paid off there. This time I didn't see that many opportunities for it. It actually, I did bring it game one, but it was a bit scary when he brought out that Medicham. Good thing Azumarill or with shield up did so well there. Um, But so far, I'm glad with the result. Yeah, hopefully I can pull through.
Yeah, speaking of which, you did not want to reveal your third mon, alright, during the first game, because I saw that you did everything not to try to reveal the dance pairs.
Um,
Actually, the Azu, for example.
well, not per se. It just wasn't really a reason to bring it out, right? I kept my shield for Dunsparce just because it was full health. At some point, it was impossible to take it out, so that's why I didn't reveal Dunsparce at that point.
I see. And why didn't you bring Pelipper? Because I know that you have a Pelipper plush.
With all the lantern running around Amandine, oof,
Yeah?
it's very scary to bring Pelipper. I was tempted to, but I chickened out. I chickened out.
All right. Okay, thank you for your words. Do you have anything to add, Martine?
Well, thank you for having me. I really like these interviews and to play here. So, and you're doing a great job as well. So,
Thank
yeah,
you. So I hope I will see you again and again and again because it means that we would win just more and more and more.
I would love
And
to win.
yeah, and we will be back after a short break.
Yeah, that was the interview and matchup number 2. Let's go to matchup number 3. This is actually gonna be a really good one. I know Freaka pretty well. We're best friends in game. We played quite some times, and he is so good. And he has a pretty annoying team with double flyer here. He still runs Lickitung as well. I don't think Lickitung is that hard of meta now that Noctowl really is. Let's just take a look at how we're going to handle this. I think my Dunsparce again looks really good, beating Altaria, Lickitung, Lantern, Noctowl. We're gonna see some of it. I lead my Azumarill into his Noctowl, which is pretty good for me here. There are specific Noctowl with breakpoints with a little bit higher attack that can beat Azumarill in specific shield scenarios, but mine is a very high defense, so it's unlikely that that this Noctowl can as well. The first Ice Beam gets shielded, and this immediately tells me that Freaka is playing some sort of ABB strat. He's gonna try to lure something out. But looking at his backline, I don't really know what. My Medicham in the back looks really good though, and as you can see, I brought the jump up here for the first time. I was very careful with throw my move there, and in comes the Lantern. I align my jump love here. This is a good matchup, but not as good as you'd hope for as a grass type, since it's also electric. The Thunderbolt hits harder than you think, but Jumpluff as a very bulky Pokemon can take it easily. The bulk is somewhat similar to like that of Azumarill. I'll still survive this. I am somewhat afraid that he can flip this if he will shield the next energy ball, but since he's already shield down, I don't really expect that. I'm not counting his moves very well here. Could have done 2 more Fairy Winds. Fairy Winds charges very fast, and you'll see that it might matter because now I won't get to that Acrobatic by just 1 fast move. Acrobatic as a strong charge move would have been very nice there because it would have brought the Noctowl and Ice Beam Rage. A move that I have stored. I don't time my move here. Usually I do 1 bubble for like 2 wing attacks. That's optimal timing. But I throw immediately here because I just want to let Azumarill go. I don't want to shield a Sky Attack and then throw my Ice Beam. Just in case like a Lickitung in the back, even though that'd be really weak to Registeel. So at this point, I don't know what it might be. It could be his own Medicham as well, right? But he told me, yeah, no, what do you think it is? It's over. Yeah, it is the Galarian Stunfisk Medicham. One of the hardest answers to Galarian Stunfisk. Yeah, this is very much over. Galarian Stunfisk is really the Pokemon I despise the most, just because its coverage is just a little bit too good. He baits me here. I no-shield it and give him a naughty smile. But, I mean, even if it went for Earthquake, he wouldn't have KO'd. And he said that himself afterwards as well. So that didn't really matter. But yeah, like I said, Galarian stuff is just a big party pooper. It just destroys all my spice picks, you know. And I think if there was no Galarian Stunfisk, there would be way more electric types. Lantern only really suffices because that's Surf to cover as well. Let's take a look at the second battle here. I'm 1-0 up against Freaka at this point. Freaka and I had a lot of RPS matchups in the past, and he told me right before this battle, yeah, this might go a little bit RPS. And the reason why is, as you can see, he runs ABA against my Jumpluff that I did not bring this time. The thing is, if I lead Jump Love here, I'd be in an incredibly good spot. But I didn't bring it again. Jump Love is a bit scary to bring when there's a Noctowl around. Even though it didn't look bad against his team. Let me say that. I also say so the wrong Pokemon. I definitely should have gone into Shadow Sableye. But I didn't really expect Lantern in the back when there's a Medicham lead. So yeah, that kind of threw me off guard. Now I'm going to get some solid energy on the Dunsparce. I believe is this the first time we got actual Dunsparce action? It was very good for me in this tournament with this coverage of rock and ground charge move. Not Earthquake like G-Fizz does, but Drill Run, which is cheaper. Rollout charge really fast, but the fast move damage output, as you can see, is so low. It happened quite sometimes that I get hit by another charge move when opponents are so low. I swap into the Shadow Sableye immediately, and this is not optimal. I like to save swap Shadow Sableye more often because even against a Noctowl, I can pull off a shield advantage. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. Especially with that wing attack buff, Noctowl pace is just way faster. I can't even double bait and then power jam, which after so many Shadow Claws will actually KO. I think if I hit a power jam at this point, I could Shadow Claw down actually. So I'm gonna try to bait another foul play here and then hit a power jam. Or if this goes through, I do have a rock slide stored. But honestly, his Medicham is full health. My Sableye already gets so low at this point. A couple counters and an Ice Punch will take me out. And my timer is up now. I could swap and throw Rock Slide, but I just didn't really see a way. Because his Medicham would just take out my Shadow Sableye at that point. Yeah, he would just counter down my Dunsparce. That was a very RPS game. Not much I have to say about that. He went AB against Jump Bluff, and I didn't lead it. Let's see how we do game 3. This game started late on stream, but I let my Shadow Sableye into Lickitung and save swap the Registeel. That is where we are at right now. And this is where Registeel really shines. Not just because mine is shiny, but also because it wins the Zero Shield against the basic Medicham that runs Ice Punch and Psychic. Their charge moves are resisted, so I will get to another Zap Cannon here quite easily. And that will give me the shield advantage or switch advantage. But because my opponent is letting this go, I'm somewhat surprised of what could be in the back. Maybe there's a Noctowl in the back, and then my Shadow Sableye is better against Lickitung. Because Shadow Sableye honestly isn't the worst against Lickitung. The 0 and the 1 shields are incredibly close. Honestly, if you always shoot the power whips correctly, you make every shield scenario close. That is the 1s and 2s. It always, on some Pokemon, Foul Play just seems to do so much, and some it doesn't. And this is one where Foul Play, you really notice it's Shadow. This Lickitung is already cut in half. The Power Whip, I can take it. And here I make a slight misplay, because this is where my Sableye has more play. Spark doesn't hit as hard, and I could probably get two Foul Plays here. Instead, I went with the U-Swap, I-Swap strategy. Which is just bringing Dunsparce in right away. And Dunsparce does look very good against this core in the back. I played ABB against Medicham. I did bait it out, so my Dunsparce is free to run in the back. The worst I could have seen at that point would have been a G-Fisk, but he brought a Lantern instead. Not fearing my Jump Love at all. I should have thrown my move earlier there. Now I can't really time my move, but that's okay. Frika has to shield something at one point. He has 2 shield at this point. And Lickitung is quite low as well. But what he also should know is that Lickitung can still do it. He can still no-shield everything and take like no fast move damage on Lickitung, right? Rollout doesn't do damage. Shadow Claw doesn't do damage. It's pretty pathetic. The Drill non-stab. A good move, non-stab from a bulky Pokemon. Lantern's about as... Dunsparce is about as bulky as Lantern. It doesn't do that much. But I'm lucky here that Frika lost track of my energy. He throws a Power Whip somewhat right away, and now this gives me the time to get to 2 Durons maybe. But the Power Whip is coming through. It does a little bit more than a Body Slam. I need two more rollouts. I get very low. The licks add up. But Dunsparce has a lot of HP and it's able to get to this drill one. I have another one stored and that will take out this Licky Tongue. Will it take out the Lantern as well? If it doesn't, this Spark will probably KO me. Here we go. Oh, that feels so good. That feels so good. Look at me sitting there. I was dead. I was so happy winning. That was a really tough team composition as well. And I think it was very well played by me. I think only my Shadow Sableye swap in or swap out wasn't that great when he came in Lantern. And if he counted my Sableye moves better, yeah, he definitely would have won it. But that's all in hindsight, to be honest. At these tournaments, it's very easy to make one fatal mistake. And it doesn't make Frika any less of a player. He still is one of the best German players out there. Anyway, here comes an interview.
Hello, welcome back. I'm back here with someone who probably doesn't need any introduction since he's already even been on the stream, but you know what? I'm going to give you one anyway. We're here with Inadequance, who, if you just saw the last matchups, won with just a sliver of health left on your Dunsparce. What were you thinking at this point?
I was thinking, thank you, 23 EJB, for recommending me the Dunsparce. Definitely a better pick over Empoleon, as he said. So, yeah, it was very close. I was disappointed when he let Medicham go because I wanted shield advantage and he didn't let me have it. So I was a little bit frustrated, but in the end it worked out just barely.
Yeah. I mean, that second game I think was really, I was saying it's a showcase of Dunsparce. Like that Pokemon did a lot of work for you in that last round. Would you call it your MVP of this round, or maybe what would you say your MVP is so far of this tournament?
Difficult to say. I would say Azumarill, Registeel, Dunsparce have been pretty good. I haven't really found yet how to make Sableye work so far, even though it's definitely not bad and I'm really good. I know the matchups pretty well from it. Those Pokemon have been pretty good. I've used everything so far.
It's
and
true,
I think that means that I made a solid team this time.
This time. Yeah, speaking of this time, I have to give you a little bit of a hard time. We have a saying in the US like, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. And every time you compete in a regional, you get so close to winning. You're always in the top categories, but you have yet to win the regional for yourself. Until today?
Until today. Well, hopefully. We'll see. Honestly, I'm here to have a good time mostly. I'm here with so many people and friends that I know, so that's the most joy out of it. Obviously, I don't want to lose, but
Of course.
But you know, I'm having a good time.
But so far, you haven't.
Yeah. We'll see. I think I'm in winners finals now of Group B.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's so many good players remaining.
That's true. We were talking about this is one of the most, we're calling it stacked tournaments, and also the last of the 2022 European regionals. Does that give you any extra boost? Like you want to get it done in 2022? And if not, is it the New Year's resolution for 2023?
That'd be a great one. No, I'm just seeing it as another tournament. I'm planning to go on many more maybe. So not really. Just gonna give it my best.
Well, your best has been very good so far. I'm looking forward to most likely seeing you up here again and at another point.
Thank you.
I mean, you're definitely in the winners finals, right?
Yep,
For Group
yep.
B, so we'll at least probably see you on stream.
Sounds good.
Speaking of the streams, we're going to get back to them pretty soon. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this break.
And that was the interview of my round versus Frika. They interviewed the winner of every matchup every time. Let's take a look at my final matchup of the day that was on stream. It was the final of Group B against Kedo. He told me he wasn't really he doesn't play PvP as much, but the region was quite close, and he's a friend of Nuralkar, on whose stream this regional was broadcasted. And he had a lot of love in there. It was really nice to see as well. He runs double flyer, double steel, very tough to deal with and very strong as well. I see a lot of play from my Azumarill, but some bad alignment against a Trev or Registeel makes this very difficult. See how I'm going to deal with this. He beat my good friend Scafo before this, so I have to be very careful of a good player like Kiddo. Let's take a look at matchup number 1. I lead my Shadow Sableye into Trevenant. Good thing I'm playing ABB against it. My Registeel and Azumarill don't do great against it, and I'm very surprised he's staying in. Looks like Kiddo is taking a shield from me and then swapping. I like this strategy from him. And it also makes me think there's probably a Medicham or something in the back. But it is the Galarian Stunfisk coming in. Look at how much those Shadow Claws and the Foul Plays are going to do to this Galarian Stunfisk. It puts it into half already, and now I feel confident enough to bring in my Azumarill. I also could have maybe just swapped in Azumarill right away. I win that matchup regardless, but it could also make the matchup a little bit annoying. And especially now that I see he has a Noctowl in the back, it could have made it very, very iffy if I lose Switch. So yeah, now I throw my Ice Beam, going to a maximum energy so I can get another one off on the Trevenant. But the Trevenant will get energy on my Azumarill, which is not great. Ice Beam coming in, it does get shielded by Kiddo. He kind of has to at this point because Noctowl alone is difficult to sweep a whole team with. He comes out with a full Shadow Ball though, which is huge. But not for me. It's pretty bad for me. If he throws it, I have to shoot it. But he instead swaps into the Noctowl immediately, and I do have that Registeel for it. This is exactly why I have Registeel, because I hate Noctowl. It's it's really good. It's very meta. Everyone has it, and that's why Registeel is always useful. It just does better than Galarian Stunfisk. Some Noctowls can even beat Galarian Stunfisk. I undercharge this, not very necessary. That's probably because it's a very good Noctowl. I know that like a Skarmory, which is a similar bulk to Noctowl, needs a little bit of undercharging to get to come out with a Zap Cannon perfectly. But this Noctowl actually survives. And even gets to another Shadow Ball. My opponent needs energy, he knows that, which is very smart by him. But there's just no way out at this point. I just hard counted him way too bad here. The Zap Cannon comes through. I had a Foul Play ready. There was no play for him. Even whether he KOs my Registeel or not, there was no play at that point anymore. So, yeah, just really tough for him. Just really tough for him. Not much I can say there. He did what he could. He did what he could, and in the end, ideas come up to maybe salvage it, but it was very difficult. Let's take a look if he can salvage game 2. He leads Trevenant again, and I lead my Dunsparce in it. This is a very good lead for Dunsparce, but I don't like it. And the reason why is because I run double weak to Noctowl in the back. And Noctowl, people don't bring that into my Dunsparce, knowing Dunsparce destroyed. So if they have Noctowl, they usually stay in here. Now we do see a double Steel line from my opponent in the back, so that's not the case. But it's still really bad because where am I going to put my Jumpluff? Jumpluff is somewhat wasted now on Trevenant because an Acrobatic almost one-shots it. And now I have to dump my energy into a half a Travelator if I get alignment. But I'll see what I do here because I can just throw some Durance real quick. I am barely in Earthquake range, however. He lets everything go. Which makes me think that there might be Registeel in the back. So I just want some energy here. I'm thinking my opponent might bait here, and that's a correct call. Especially considering they can get 2 charge moves here regardless. And I do shield the Earthquake now correctly, which is really nice for me. Honestly, if I shielded twice there immediately, it would have been very scary. Because Trevenant could farm me down if I let 1 Earthquake through, or this Registeel one-shots me, or just one-shots me with the Zap Cannon. It will do now as well, but I still have a shield, right? I'm also lucky, takes all the energy on Registeel. I got 2 Foul Plays off before he even got to 1 move, which is incredibly good for me because my Jumpluff wins not a single scenario, doesn't win a single scenario against this Pokemon. I will get to a Foul Play here. I did shoot my Sableye because one of the things that's really a big deficit of Registeel, it can't stack 2 moves. It needs at least about 10 or 11 turns to a charge move. So if I stay close to a Foul Play, the only way you can get to another charge move on my Sableye with Registeel now is to farm something down. I get the attack drop on my Jumpluff. Doesn't really matter because I already landed a Rock Slide. You'll see how bulky Jumpluff is here. This Shadow Ball is not going to KO. and I get the acrobatic off, that will take out this Trevenant. And like that, I will take this game as well. He says it's already over. I didn't want to cheer just too soon yet because he gets a lot of farm here. But my Dunsparce is still in the game. I just need him to throw energy somewhere, and then my other Pokemon gets to a charge move, and I win the battle. You can see I'm only 2 rollouts off. Rollout is a Snarl clone, charges really fast, and it does the job like that. And that's a 2-0 victory for me versus Kedo. He was somewhat afraid to play on stream. He hasn't played on stream before, and he didn't expect to get so far. I'm glad for him. He did. He even made it to day 2 as well. He won the finals in the losers round of Group B. So he did very well for, I think, his first regional, and he got so much support from the Nuralkar stream as well. Let's take a look at the last interview.
Welcome back, guys. As promised, we are here with the winner of the last featured match and the second player to advance to the top 8 tomorrow of the Pokemon Go Regional Championships in Stuttgart. So this interview is sponsored by Dunsparce.
Yeah, it's been really good so far, yeah.
So, Inadequance, how is this Pokemon that has been flying under the radar so good with this coverage?
That's a good question. I think really because Noctowl became more prevalent because of the wing attack buff. It just shifted the meta a little bit, right? And obviously there's always fighters and things. I think rock and ground is just such a good offensive coverage. Really resisted only by, I think, Breloom. Well, I don't see anyone running that so far. And Chestnut. But that's why I think it's pretty good. It has really good coverage. It can hit anything. And especially for Noctowl, it destroys Noctowl. And that's what I was looking for.
I mean, you have even the rollout that actually then deals some decent damage against Noctowl, but you hit the flying types and you hit the steel types that are supposed to counter the flying types.
Yep.
So that is a really strong Pokemon. Did you build your team around Dunsparce? Or did you like bring specific Pokemon because most of your team is actually not that standard in a way? So did you bring something to back up Dunsparce or?
Difficult question because now I have to think about what I was running again. Basically, I started off with a team of 4, I believe, with something like something very boring that started with Registeel, Azumarill. Right, that's basically the core that I started with, and I started building around that. I'm pretty good with Medicham and Sableye. Let's just add that to it. It covers each other well, and then a Dunsparce covered it pretty well because I needed something to counter Trevenants and Ghosts, and Dunsparce does that pretty well.
So the Shadow Sableye, why did you decide to run a Shadow Sableye? Because usually the purified version is preferred.
Less Charmers, and actually I win the 0 shoots against Charm alone on Ninetales, and I don't see as much obstacle anymore. So I decided to give it a go. I've had it for a long time. I haven't used it as much. I think only at the EUIC 2022 Play Pokemon Regional, but I decided to give it a go again.
And so you decided to run the Power Gem, of course. I mean, it's the best move for the Shadow Sableye, but has it come in clutch against the Noctowl so far?
No, the thing is it doesn't even one-shot. You need a little bit of more damage. Yeah. And especially now that the wing attack pace is faster. I think that was against Frika in Game 2. You just saw that the Noctowl's way too fast for the Sableye to beat it.
You've been looking so dominant in all of these featured matches so far. Was there any match in this entire tournament so far where you thought like, okay, I'm probably going to lose this, or there is a good chance that I'm losing?
Oh yeah, against Frika. I mean, I know Frika. We are best friends in game, you know, and so we know each other for a while. We've battled quite a couple times, and I know he is so good. So I know there's a good chance that I can lose that. Even like for game 2, he said before, this might get a little bit RPS, and then I'm like, oh come on, man. But yeah, now for this one, it looked a bit difficult too. I think he had double steal, double flyer, and that just makes for perfect ABB strats, right? Lead strong to something and be weak twice to it in the back. So I really needed the lead, and I was just very fortunate to first lead Sableye and then Dunsparce.
Oh yeah, you had the lead twice.
Yep, that really helped.
So, again, I have to ask this. Do you think you're going to win this thing? You've been looking so dominant so far. I think you are like a favorite at the moment.
Oh, tough question.
I want to hear it.
There's so many good players. I'm going to go for it.
Okay, there you heard it. He's definitely going to win it. His words, not mine, of course. So, thank you very much, Inadequance. Guys, go nowhere. We are going to be right back for the next featured match, and we will see who advances to the top cut next.
So yeah, those were my battles and my interviews for day 1. A little bit of a longer video than I'm used to. I played so much on stream. There was quite some to showcase. The next video will be about day 2, the championship day. Thank you for watching and have a good one.